Like, I'm worried.
I don't blame you.
Hey, what's going on? Hey guys, thanks for the tweets.
Oh, no problem.
Much appreciated. You can see my partner's coming here and he likes to film everything, as you've seen already in the making of documentary. Okay? I don't know. What we're doing now is the movie's going to start any minute, okay? And you'll see it'll start it. After that, we're going to do a Q&A. All right, so we'll come up here, answer any questions that you guys may have. Also, you have the sheets. Please feel free to write whatever you want, put anything down, whether it's questions, comments. A lot of it will be used basically by our distributor. We recently just got distribution as far as last week. So, and again, we want to thank everybody for your support and help with that. We're going to use that for a lot of the packaging, and this will be the last time it's going to be seen on the East Coast for probably about a year or so. So we wanted to thank everybody here. We want to thank the guys, Tom and Rich from the Darress Theater, for putting up with us. Ladies and gentlemen, for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. There's a few people out there we'd like to thank. I'd like to thank Mike Stanton, one of our creative consultants. He did a great job with the graphics and stuff. Shout out to Jackie Denef. She was the mother for the 911 call. She scared me. The cops came, so she did a good job. Give props up to her. Tommy Briggsman, he don't want to come up there. He's shy now. He's going to lay an egg, so he's going to stay down there. He's a little funny like that. And we're going to open it up to you guys for questions and whatnot, unless Jewel... Oh, where's Anoop? Anoop, where are you? Hey, is Anoop one of the cameramen? Yeah. My brother's downstairs right now. He's tied up. There's a new work camera for a lot of the scenes. So we talked actually before. Can you stroll a little slower? I have to go to the bathroom. Good God. It's crazy. It's like he's walking down to get his Oscar.
I'm available for babysitting in case anybody is interested.
Mike,
just
there.
Every other weekend.
Okay.
Well, the whole idea behind this movie when we started was 2 words were given to me: bizarre and disturbing. So based on that, basically all the cameras that we used, the simplicity to just using the handheld, like we didn't really use any tripods or anything like that. But to create the sense of, as I said, to make it has to be realistic, but at the same time, it has to be bizarre and disturbing. How do you create that? I mean, you cannot just run around with the camera. So even for that, you had to kind of plan ahead, like using different cameras, like for the car, like the GoPros, or just the chase scenes in the beginning, like the lights, using the lights for the car lights as a background light, and which worked out perfect because we didn't have any lighting there. This is a place in Dodgeville where there's an electricity, like literally, it's like out of this world. So it was a great experience actually. The way it was experimental in its own way, but at the same time, the experience I got as a cinematographer, as a cameraman, it has been amazing. So it was a great fun. It was a good time.
Thanks, Anoop. Did you guys have questions or anything? You want to hold the mic out there, see if they want to talk into it? Did you get up? Or you got like a disease or something?
I'm here.
I don't know how far it's going to
I don't think it's going to go that far, no problem. It's a wireless one.
You're used to things like
I
that.
can sing a song, I've done that for many years.
Yeah.
Some red on the
Questions for any of you guys, if you want to shoot them out. Slow down.
I'm afraid to ask it.
Go ahead, ask something.
No, I'm still trying to take it in.
I have one. Go ahead.
How did you come up with the idea to tell the story backwards, the timeline?
You want the truth, or do you want me to make up something?
Yeah, well, whatever. I'm interested.
Well,
she's a woman.
Well,
so
basically, the way the story is laid out, as you see, it starts. The guy's at the computer. Now, if you actually go to the website right now, you can go if you got a smartphone or whatever. You can go there. The site is exactly like that with a stamp on it, as far as like content under investigation. What the site was basically all the sequences laid out. Everybody's familiar with like an AVI, a QuickTime. You could download something. So what we did is we came up with the movie. Again, one of the questions we never get is, why is it MP2V? MP2V, I mean, you know what it stands for?
No.
I don't either. It's MP2 video. It's a video file format that's online. and it's pretty rare. But we did that because we wanted to utilize the online aspect of, not only is the story being told partially through there, partially through Jules basically filming, partially through Anoop with his cinematography camera experience, but also online, because people aren't using the online to enhance and further the story, which is actually what we're working on with the series, MP2V, which I'll talk about in a minute, and actually we'll have a sneak preview for you guys in a little bit. But that's why we came up with it. And now the reason it's reversed, if you go back and you see even like a poster or anything, it's reversed because it plays in reverse sequence. It's sequence 20, numbered down to 1. So what's actually happening?
Online like that.
What happened?
I saw it like that online.
It's exactly how it is. And he's playing it. Actually, Mike played the guy in the movie, so you want to give a hand out to Mike. His back was fantastic. He's really good. He's playing the sequences in reverse order. That's why the movie's going actually in reverse order. That's one of the things you kind of got to figure out, because on Jules' footage you have a timestamp. So what happens is, particularly with those girls, as the footage goes across, anybody ever tape over a VHS tape?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening. Where we took the camera, well, Jules took the camera from them in the beginning, and their footage is bleeding over. And what happens is their story is basically going in forward, ours is going in reverse, and they meet actually at the end of the movie, which is really the beginning. But again, to simply answer your question, it's the way it's played up on the actual website. He's playing, Mike as is, he's playing the actual sequences in reverse. That's a good question. Did that answer that, or I just...
Yeah, I think it's compelling the way it comes out like that.
Well, one of the things that we talked about is we're not a gut chunk movie, and that wasn't really, we never even talked about doing anything like that. It was basically a lot of the critics, if you go to IMDb, that's what they talked about. It's more of a psychological movie where this actually happened. I mean, you go home and this guy could show up at your door, and believe me, there's plenty of girlfriends that have seen that actually happen.
Yeah.
So, that's what we wanted to portray. We wanted to make the audience uneasy. Was anybody uneasy at the baby scene?
Yes.
All right. We actually, good story on that, we had to actually reshoot that and edit after we shot. We actually did that in post. One of the things I always looked at is, they're like, we shot the scenes, but then we had to go back and shoot more. I'm like, why the hell are they shooting more? Didn't they get it right the first time? We learned basically going through this, that we needed some kind of thing to bridge it a little bit as far as making these guys really, really disturbing. And we actually shot that in my house probably about 4 months after we shot a majority of the footage, which we shot upstate New York. So that was one of the scenes that was added later, as well as the cemetery scene, where he's talking about the demon fingers and stuff. He did that, and people were walking in front of my house going, what the hell's going on in there? As this guy's rambling on. So it was pretty cool that we did that. But,
that was a great phone call.
Yeah, the one thing I want to say is, when my scene was shot, you really can't tell in the movie, I believe, Rob, that was the coldest day in February.
yeah,
I
it
think
was 5
it was.
degrees, and I'm outside with no shirt on.
So we had to, we took that take, I don't know, about 5 or 6 times, and these poor guys are out there, and they have to pretend it's warm out there, and they're knocking on the door, but they really want to get in because it's freezing out there, you know? And all I can say is, that scene, Jules really knows how to make a good tasting blood. Because I had it all over my hair, all over my mouth and everything, so I have to say, Jules, it tasted really good, like red velvet cake, actually. But it was very cold that day, though, and you can't tell in the movie, but these poor guys are freezing out there. They just wanted to get in so quick just to beat the hell out of me.
Yeah, my mother has a lot of fun with that. Like, I'm making blood in my kitchen at night to supply. It's like cocoa powder and a bunch of other things. What Rob was saying in reference to your question, most of the time when you go to see a movie, you see a movie that's directed by Martin Scorsese, or, we didn't want to make a movie. This is like a movie about 2 sociopaths. So what would a movie look like if a sociopath made it? So it's got to be all backwards and forwards and twisted, because of course they think it's a masterpiece or whatever, but it's really like their twisted mind and everything making the movie. So, and also the challenge of like trying to like not be completely competent with a flip camera and make it look like I'm talking to somebody, but I'm filming their elbow instead of like filming their perfect face or whatever. And then I hope I didn't make anybody too nauseous with some of the shakiness. Some of it's, we try to avoid as much as possible, because I've heard horror stories about handheld movies that, exactly, that people get sick and everything. But there had to be an element of incompetency to try to do that in there. That's really bright.
Yeah, well, it should be on Jeopardy. Questions?
So you talked about the like the jumping into the camera and going back to like obviously the Blair Witch Project. So do you guys get compared to that?
We actually, if you
That's
go,
the first thing she said when the movie ended. or something
if you
about
go
it.
to our distributors page, Champion Entertainment is actually distributing it. They're sending it out. It's going to be playing a lot of college towns, all in the Midwest, Milwaukee, like Purdue, Notre Dame, all the like the Big Ten schools that's going to be out there, and that's what's on his page. Now, I don't really think it's exact like that because it's done differently, but people do get that impression. As far as the way.
Was that an influence or anything at all for doing this, or
Actually,
as far as the
for
film
me,
itself?
no. What we actually talked about is we wanted to have what would actually happen if two guys really started filming stuff. I don't know if anybody's seen Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, but has anybody out there? The rape scene for me is one of the most disturbing scenes ever filmed of all time. I mean, that's so realistic, and that's what we were trying to pick up with regard to that. But it's not constantly things happen with these guys. These guys are normal for most of the time. And it's like just things happen and all of a sudden, bam, something snaps and then they get into a situation where they have to explode. So we tried to actually mirror that a little bit. And the actual stock of the footage that we used, we wanted to make it look very much like the Texas Chainsaw when you're inside. So that cabin, we wanted to make reminiscent of that. Because that's actually my cabin and my brother's cabin. And we actually wrote the movie around that because it's in the middle of nowhere. And it's just so weird. When these guys first got up there, they could not wait to get the hell out of there. And this is the guys involved in the movie, so it should tell you a little something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was the cabin. You wanted to do something there for a long time. But can I give away one of your secrets?
No.
Rob and I had a conversation. I was walking to work. I was in Manhattan, and I was complaining to him, going on a rant. If anybody that knows me, I rant about so many different things. But it was about reality television, and we were very frustrated. Or I was very frustrated about all the reality TV, and then we were talking about doing something for a long time, and there were a couple things that started and stopped, and then I think I said to you, like, wouldn't it be great if I could, like, we make something so real, I walk into my job and somebody, they arrest me right at my job. And then Rob, of course, went right to serial killers because he's fascinated by them. I think you did a tour in California and different places, going to visit spots of...
It was beautiful.
Serial killers and stuff, where things happen, like historically. So we kind of gradually went toward that. He's more into universal horror from like the 40s and 50s, and I'm more into like when you see a movie now, you know, whoever, I don't know.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Brad Pitt and whoever with the Reese Witherspoon or... Yeah, Brad Pitt and Reese Witherspoon, they're in a cafe, and you know it's a scene in a movie. We wanted to make things look more realistic. So I'm like a fan of John Cassavetes, the way he used to. I don't know if anybody's familiar with any of his movies, but it almost appears that the people are just real people, not even actors. So we wanted to go more along the lines of that. The real fascinating stuff was finding people to be in it. A couple of the people in the movie I actually worked with in a restaurant. So it was just like, oh, I like your personality. Would you like to come do a day? And then they would ask me, well, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I have no idea. But I'll let you know. You know. Then we give them pieces, and then, do you want to tell the story about the upstate?
The mother and daughter, actually, in the movie were mother and daughter, and they were the only ones really cast up there. And we were doing an interview for a radio station, and this came across, and I had no idea they actually thought this, and this was true because she was talking about it. The mother, after meeting us, sat down with the daughter and said, what do you think? You want to do the movie? And the daughter said that to the mother, rather. And the mother said, what if they're really not making a movie? What if this is really a snuff film? And they're going to kill us. Because when we set up the cabin, we said, yeah, listen, it's no problem. I'm going to shoot up there. We're about 20 miles from the nearest town. You can scream as loud as you want. No cops are coming. By the way, we get no cell phone service. There's no electricity. So it's going to be great. So they got a little bit nervous when they said that.
Can I tell them another story about it? So he's telling me we need these two people, and he's telling me what parts we needed. So I had to try to find a theater or some kind of like community thing that I could get actors from up there, because we couldn't take actors and say, hey, you want to come away with us for a couple of days and like not get paid and just like, you know, be in the middle of the woods. It was like very hard to get people to do that. So to get people up there, but then to try to get them to be in a movie, it's like, and he's like haunting me saying, did you get him yet? Did you get him? And I'm like, you got to give me a chance, because it's not like I can call him up and be like, hey, you want to be in a film? You're going to get killed and raped, and you know, it's like I don't even know these people. It's not like I'm like a.
Who wouldn't jump at that?
Yeah. So we met them in an Applebee's.
Yeah.
It was an Applebee's, right? I said, listen, to get comfortable with us, you know, and everything, why don't you meet us in an Applebee's so it's in public? So we had to sit down with them, and then they agreed to do it. But then it was still like, the mother was horrified through the whole experience, even sitting at the lunch that we had. So I told her, I said, you know, if you feel more comfortable, bring your husband or bring somebody. Or I just wanted them to feel comfortable and make them not think that like they were going to be, you know, killed for real or whatever. And then we got them to obviously be in it. But there was still like the mother, like throughout that, I kept her in the dark about most things that we were going to have them do, because I knew she was already apprehensive and scared to begin with. So that's like her real face through the whole movie. Like, because she would constantly ask, like, you know, like, what am I going to be doing in the movie? And I'm like, oh, I'll let you know. And I just kept aggravating her, not telling her anything. Meanwhile, the daughter, who I knew was a lot more gung-ho to like be involved, I was feeding her information, but I was also telling her, I'm going to have your mother do this, I'm going to have her do this, kind of like, you know, tell her but don't tell her, you know, and I because I wanted to make the daughter feel comfortable that I was really on purpose messing with her mother, but then feeding the daughter information. So it was just like this whole, and it's weird when you're working with people that you have no idea. You know, it's like if a director that's on TV or in Hollywood or whatever, everybody knows Quentin Tarantino, so when he calls you up, you have no problem, because you know you're going to be in something, but no one knew us from, you know, our crew from anything, so it was pretty funny. There's a scene not in the movie that was good. Do you want to talk about Billy? One of my favorite experiences.
I'll let you talk about that.
Real quick, I'm all of a sudden opening up and sharing. Is this an AA meeting?
No, it's therapy for you.
So there's this guy, Billy. It's like if anybody's seen Sling Blade, it's this guy that we ran into that we wanted to put him in the movie. And he's very similar to the guy in Sling Blade. So we go to his house, it's raining, we can't get anything to work this day, the equipment's not working, you know, the sound, we're having problems with everything. We get to his house, he's like not very much of a verbal type guy. And he's got this like little, we go into his house and the idea was just to have breakfast before we did the thing with you. Right. We had a thing with Billy, we were going to do something different with you, but the Billy thing, we were going to go in, have breakfast, and then kill him in his like little workshop. And they had this workshop with wrenches and hammers, and we start going in there, and I start, make a long story short, we have breakfast, we kill Billy, and he's laying on top of this machine or whatever in his workshop. He's laying there, he's dead. I'm going in with the camera, we have another camera, we're recording everything, and I'm going around, I'm like, oh, hell, oh, they got a hammer, they got a chisel, oh, I wonder if they have a nail gun. And then he's like laying on the thing, and all I hear is like, that's the only thing I don't have. And I'm like, you're supposed to be dead. And that was it for that scene. And then we did the thing with Wayne instead, where we got to, you know, pull Wayne's teeth out.
Any other questions or anything? You guys are still stymied.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, sir.
You don't know anything about them. You don't even hear their names, right? Did
Nope.
you do that all on purpose?
100%. Everything is you're supposed to, if you know what the hell's going on, then you're more stoned than he is. We don't know.
That would be a
left,
stretch.
Yeah, that is a stretch. We left a lot of stuff really open as far as like into interpretation. Like at the end, you know what happens?
Not really.
Or really at any point. Or how about at any point does anyone know that?
Well, you can kind of piece as you go backwards, but the ending, what happens? That's where the sequel actually picks up. And I'll give you a hint. There's reasons, if you listen to the DVD, because you guys all have it, there's voices on there at the very end. That's something that's going to interpret what happens next. Again, it's not answered, but you will see that as it picks up with the sequel. The sequel is MP2V, which we actually have the treatment for. But before that, actually, we got an offer, and we're working on, and it's very close to coming to fruition, a TV series. Tom, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. The TV series is basically called MP2V. If you go to the website, on the website, if you go to MP2V link and click on it, at the bottom there's a Watch Now link. You click on that link, and our sales tape for this is going to come up. We're probably about a month away, so there's a good chance it's going to be next year on Spike Television. So if you guys want to check it out, you will be the first to see it. So we'll let you see it. MP2V, the sales tape.
It's our version of like that Nicole Richie, Paris Hilton, when they go around with a trailer around the country, only we're gonna... Sorry.
That actually existed?
You had a question back there from before?
Kill that.
I'm sorry. You had a question back there?
I have a question. Is it coincidence that you got the camera from another sociopath?
No, actually, because we actually had a prequel that we're still in the process of piecing together, and that was actually shot first. That's how we shot it, and we moved on to this one. So basically, just get used to the crew, get used to working with some of the actors and actresses, and basically just hone our stuff. So we finally, when we shot this one, we had everything up and running because we had not shot. I hadn't shot. Last thing I did was a TV series. I hadn't shot that in about 5 or 6 years. So when you don't do it for a while, you lose it. This is our first full-length feature, so we wanted to prep before we jumped into this, because to do a 90-minute, 82-minute movie is a big endeavor. It actually took us probably about 14 months to complete from beginning to end, from piecing it together. The editing alone was about 6, 7 months. I mean, he can tell you, he was sitting there right next to me.
Tell him about rendering.
Tedious, yeah, rendering. When you make one change, the rendering we had to do would probably take about 12 hours. So I was like, good night, see you tomorrow.
Just like one little change, like I would come over and I'd be like, oh, could we change this? Because like it'd be better if we cut from here to here and then add this sound in. Oh yeah, great, because that's another 12 hours. So you just make like one little change, you gotta do the whole thing over again. So he was going out of his mind.
Police in the Woods story?
Somebody remembered that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I drink a lot, I forget things.
Do you? We got a noob here.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I knew, please, stop talking, all right? But the police actually thing we shot on Route 23 around Pompton Lakes, a little bit north from there. We went up one Sunday. This guy and my brother were like, yeah, we want to shoot a couple more scenes. And me and him like, yeah, okay, we'll get it. They wanted to do some extra stuff. So we said, okay, no problem. So we went up there. It was a Sunday afternoon. It was a couple of years ago. So beautiful day. It just happened to be in October, and it was like 85 degrees out. So they're like, oh, we're going to go to this park. Seems harmless enough. Everybody and their mother is on the water, horseback, walking around their dog, doing anything. So we climb up, we go up a hill.
all the equipment and
Look, everything in.
Do you want to tell them about like the one sack was like with an axe? It was like a sword, a hammer. It was like I'm carrying
The
that.
scene was this. We were going to tie my brother to a tree, and he was going to perform a ritual, and we were going to chop his leg off. So he's screaming and cursing and yelling, and I'm sitting up there because I wasn't really in the scene. I was more like peripheral.
And we hiked up into the woods, so we were like high up into the woods, so like everybody's down here doing whatever, but we're like way...
And thankfully there was water by, so it would echo, so it would make it a little bit bigger. So he's screaming all over, and I see this little activity going down. I'm like, okay, this is, because I've been on enough shoots. This is not going to be good. Something's happening. So it goes on, and maybe about 20 minutes in, I'm sitting there and I'm standing there. I'm like, okay, a cop car just pulled up. It was a van. Next thing you know, I'm looking down. He's involved in what he's doing. He's in space doing whatever the hell he's doing. And I'm
He was on the ground with leaves and everything, and he had like a camera on his head.
2 cops come up, and I just see this coming up with shots. I'm like, uh-oh, let's start packing up.
And then I just start yelling to them, filming a movie. Filming a movie.
The guy comes up, his shotgun was right at my face. So I'm sitting there going, yeah, we got tripods and everything. Thankfully, they were really cool, but it's really not fun to have a shotgun pointed.
But let's not leave your brother out. Your brother's tied to the tree, covered in blood, and we had his leg tied like this on the tree. So we had a fake leg here, and I was like chopping the fake leg. So his leg is like, and he's tied to the tree, all covered in blood.
As they ask him questions. All right, how long you been on the movie? I've been here about 20 minutes.
No, but I had to tell him. I'm like, Scott, tell him you're alive. Scott, see, he's alive. Oh, yeah. Because he was still like...
So that was fun times.
This is probably a stupid question, but wouldn't you think about contacting the police before you do something like that?
You would think people that want to have something set up might want to do that.
I mean, this makes for a much better story.
We just thought we could get in and get out, in like 20 minutes.
Because actually the abandoned house scene was very similar, but that was shot way up when there was nobody in there. But it was a real abandoned house, and we almost fell through the floor because this thing was like decrepitated, probably from the 30s.
You wouldn't even want to walk in it?
Believe me, I was going nuts because I was producing it, so I'm like, we got to get in and get the hell out.
And you try to be careful with safety. Like the scene on the road in the beginning when he's chasing the girl, like I walked that entire road during the day and like got rocks out of the way. And they had like little flashlights that they had, so they were able to see, because I'm driving the car with the headlights, but in front of them they can't see anything. So they had like little flashlights to be safe, because you trip on a rock and you crack your head and then we're really in a lot of trouble.
Wouldn't hurt me.
Yeah.
No, no.
So it's easier to kill somebody in New York State than in New Jersey?
Oh, absolutely, because the populace is exactly 1.86% less per square acre.
Rural, right? Nobody
Yes.
even-
Definitely a lot more rural.
The nearest town was like 20 minutes away. And when we were telling her that, we weren't lying. It was like 20
Yeah,
minutes
to go
away.
get food
You
or
cut
whatever, it's
yourself,
like a half hour.
you're done. Right? Just put a fork in you. You were out. You weren't hitting no hospital for a
Yeah.
good 35 minutes, and that's on the freeway. So.
Why do you think you're going into real estate anymore?
No. No. Who's going to come near us? We're pretty together. So.
Well, how did I get, I didn't come here to be insulted.
No, you go everywhere for that. You don't have to come here.
Just met here in particular.
Anything else?
How many people total worked on the film?
Total, I probably want to say about 12. 12, 14 people or so. The longest thing that really took us the most time was the audio, because that's one thing we wanted to make sure. One of the things you could tell with a film where it's not done by true professionals is they're worried about what you see and not what you hear. You couldn't tell tonight because they don't have the surround sound here, but this was mixed 5-to-1. So if you got surround sound at home and you pop the DVD in, you're going to hear sounds from every single speaker, and that was done on purpose.
Yeah, the dialogue will come from the center. You'll hear like crickets and really tonal kind of things from around you. And it was also set up like you see a lot of movies and like the music starts giving away what's about to happen. We didn't want to do any of that. We wanted to be more surprised. Like I like the scene in Psycho with the shower when you see the camera and then you see the curtain open and the knife comes up, and then after he does that, then you hear the music. It doesn't kind of give it away beforehand.
Yeah, we always did it after something like when we opened the door in Abandoned House. That's when the reverberations actually come in, not before. You just see the stairs. You see stuff, but you don't hear anything, and that was absolutely done on purpose. All through our sound engineer, Rich Albee, who's not here tonight, but he did a fantastic job, and he's worked on a bunch of films. So we like to thank him for that as well.
Based on the simplicity of the filming, though, and everything, why would you want to mix it in 5.1 and make it so much
So different than it is? Because the
I like
sound,
the crudity of what you
Exactly.
doing it here is a perfect.
it's completely the
atmosphere.
opposite. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to make it as disturbing as possible. Visually, when you see something like that, you're like, okay, something's up, and it's not normal, something that you would see. So right off the bat, your eye is going to say to your brain, all right, something's a little unusual. Now you mix that in with the audio where things are coming where they shouldn't be, and you have stuff going behind you. Is somebody there? It's almost like you hear someone pass you. Or again, this place is supposed to be haunted, so there's people up there running around, and you can hear stuff. And it's all audio. Audio is by far more important than any of the visuals you're going to see. And
I
again,
mean, it
that's
was
a great question.
meticulous.
We did that.
Every single second of the film was like, we want the handheld stuff. When we're speaking into a flip to sound like this, like it's in an echo chamber. We want, when that camera's on, we want this to sound like something else. And then, what was I going to say about the sound? I'm forgetting something very...
This is your brain on drugs.
With Rich Allen. There's just so many, it's more like intellectual overload. At least that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
No, but the sound, like meticulously going through every single like second to make every single thing sound like the experiences you used to get in movies, where it's like sometimes you see things now you can't even hear dialogue. And one of my friends is a filmmaker, and he was like complaining about, he's like, oh, the windshield wipers when you're driving are overmodulated, but we're like, when you're driving in the rain, that's what you hear.
Yeah.
And because they're lunatics, it's accented by, and to be honest, we wanted to mess with the audience a little bit. So you want to hear bing, 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 like that kind of sound overmodulated. But he was talking like this buddy of mine was talking more of a perfect kind of filmmaker, like everything has to sound, It's like if something explodes, I shouldn't be able to hear you perfectly. It's not like realistic. So we tried to go more toward a realistic kind of...
This is actually an anti-Hollywood film where everything's put together in a nice, neat bow. This is, again, very much like real life where, as we talked about, in 24 hours, you get up, you're going to work, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. You don't know if there's going to be traffic. You don't know if you're getting in a car accident. You don't know what's going to happen.
No, we know there's going to be traffic.
Well, yeah. You got me on that one.
In this county, anyway.
Yeah,
Jules, what's your background?
My background.
Yeah.
No, my background.
Are you an actor or are you?
I am. Yeah, I'm an actor. I mean, on this, we all wore many hats. Rob directed and edited.
Like, how do you know Rob and all that?
We go back. I know him
Since prison.
It's got to be like 20
That's just about to
some
say
odd
that.
years. I mean, we were in improv.
Improv. You can tell that you.
That's how I know
You can
Rob,
tell.
yeah.
I can hear the improv background.
Yeah, we performed like all over the city. Again, people say, well, you guys do a lot of horror. No, this is our first horror movie. Our first like thriller, terror type movie. We do comedy. I mean, if you Google, look up Cable Excess, Jackie was in our group as well. That's what we did, comedy. So that's why we're able to do a lot of improv. And one of the things that bothered some of the actors was there's no set script. We had everything outlined. We said, here's where we're going and everything. But the fact that they didn't have words on a page that they could memorize bothered them. And that's what we liked, because you can see in the abandoned house, the girl, she has no idea what the hell's going to happen. And one of the things, if you go back and look at the movie, and she's like, what is he doing?
But that was
And I
one of the more
flipping out.
structured things too.
But
I mean,
we
because like we
wrote
wrote.
no words.
Yeah.
I mean, she's making up, but she don't. She didn't know what the hell was going to happen, and that bothered her.
But
no
there
way.
were things that they were constantly instructed on. You know, it's like you know when you said this, and this, say that, but then say this and say that, and then there would be another take, and it kind of evolved over time into what it became.
Did it all take a lot of takes, or did you have to do a lot of retakes?
Some, yeah, but some like things like the abandoned house, we did about 5 takes. We used the first one because it was just so visceral, and I was freaking out, and he wanted a shot, and he's trying to calm everybody down. And I'm just trying to get the hell out of there because who the hell knows what's going to happen? Is the sheriff coming? The neighbor's there. Dogs are barking.
You just literally found it on the side of the road and pulled.
Yeah, because again, it's by my house, so we went around. My brother and I had scouted and said, we're going to shoot here. We're going in at 1 o'clock. I want to get the hell out of there by 1:15. I don't care. We did absolute guerrilla, very much like French Connection, like they did in the city, where they're going in, they're shooting, the guy gets hit, let's get out of there.
And scouting is very useful when you use it. Like we wanted to shoot in the cemetery, and then I get a phone call from him saying, we never shot at the cemetery. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Like that was one of the main places. And then I had a call upstate to some of the actors that were in it and say, is there snow on the ground now? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, shit. So hang up the phone, and then I tell them, can't do it because it's not going to match. So then that was that scene with the...
So that's why we had him playing with the camera, so the filter looks really blurry, so
Done
he's
in his
actually
office.
doing stuff, and he's actually saying, oh, look what I could do with the camera, because we were stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
And we had to go from point A to point B, and we were missing a gap there. So that's how we had to do that post, very much like the baby scene.
How we left without filming there is just beyond me.
The cemetery's from like the 1700s, Civil War.
Yeah,
We do anything we wanted to. Dig up bodies, which he wanted to do.
I mean, that's where the car stops when they're chasing the girl.
Yeah.
And then she goes into the cemetery, but how we didn't film the cemetery, I just...
But that's actually where the sequel starts.
Yeah.
So we will be back up there at some point.
Were people confused about certain things? Like you have questions about who was the blonde girl, or who was it, or why doesn't he talk? Or, you know,
Well, I was gonna bring that up. I mean,
All
it
that's
seems
gonna
kind
be
of
answered in the
Fargo-esque to
Yeah,
me,
exactly.
and I don't. Is that like some kind of influence or?
Well, one of my favorite scenes in Fargo is when she meets the old high school person that she knew in high school or something. It has nothing to do with the movie at all, and people complained about it when it came out, but in reality, you learn about her because of that. So it did have a reason, even though it wasn't integral to the plot. Like him not being able to talk. We wanted to purposely leave things open, and you can...
And you should think, why? Why can't? What's he not talking?
No one in the movie has a name either. You know, it's like narrator, him,
Bandana guy,
daddy, daughter, mother. We wanted to like purposely strip everybody of any kind of like identity to be out there. Well, I'm sorry.
Brittany.
Yeah.
Brittany, yes.
So she had one, and then Baby. Was the
Oh
other two
yeah,
names.
Brittany has it.
Yeah, who were both the same person.
Yeah.
Is there a way to contact you on your website if we have any more questions, or once we're done, then you're done with us?
Once we're done, we go back
That's
into
it.
the home we're at. You can't do it. No, everything's on the website. MP2V, everything's up there. The email. Anybody wants to check out the press kit, anything you could possibly imagine, extra stills, extra footage, a lot of stuff. Also the scene with the shotgun, our distributor's putting together the Blu-ray right now. That's also going to be on there. There's going to be a bunch of secret footage and scenes that were not seen by us that are going to be available on the Blu-ray and for download when he basically sets it up. So there's a ton of stuff up there. And as I said before with the TV series and this, we're taking the web and not just saying, all right, here's little stuff that we did, it's repeated. We're enhancing it by adding more to it. So it's almost like a continuous story between the film, what's going on the website, and anything else you would see from any of the other possible media sources like YouTube or anything like that.
Yes, no, it's pretty, it's like I guess, a response to what's out there now. We have a friend of ours that when we were first starting to put something together, he's like, you got to do something. The main age demographic now is you got to get out to the young people, and I'm like, I don't know how to make anything to cater to anyone specifically, and I don't know how anyone does that. Like, I wouldn't be able to like write a song or whatever and say it's for these people. It's like insulting to me. It's like, I think things just happen naturally, but we had like we were doing like a short screening of this at Chill Fest in, was it Parsippany?
Yeah.
Parsippany, yeah. And we would just have it on a monitor, and it was like this loop playing over and over again. And we never set out in a million years. We told this guy, we're like, we have no idea how to make anything for any demographic. We're just going to go ahead and make it. Turns out, like, we're at Chill Fest, and then every single person that's walking by that's like 8 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, they're just like, their parents are trying to pull them away like this, and they're like watching the screen. So it's like, I think indirectly, maybe because of the way the style is with some of the filming, because kids are everybody has a phone now or a handheld that everybody films that way. Maybe we just like kind of struck a nerve with that without even really trying. So that's kind of.
Would you like to say something?
Yeah.
What, Jack? Yeah, right. You want to wrap this up in a nice, neat bow?
Well, we're looking forward to the next one.
That was a short bow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out. We very much appreciate it.
I loved the film. I was very disturbed by it. At one point in time, I wanted to leave. It was very disturbing. And I just loved it. It was great. It was great.
It felt really real life. It felt like it could actually happen, and yeah, that could happen to me.
We're going to go to the distributor, so they're going to put it on the box, catchphrases, and stuff like that. Do you want to go? Here, I'm giving you these guys.
Who?
How the hell do you pay your rent?